Africa, and welcome to another edition of Impact Stories. And today we are privileged to have here one of the most renowned gynecologists in Nigeria and in the world. Here with me is Emeritus Professor Giwa Osagie. We'll go for a short break, and when we come back, we will talk about how he has led academics in Nigeria.
University of Lagos took up with 46 pioneering students in the Faculty of Law and 28 in the medical school. While students of the medical school had their first lectures on 3rd October 1962, those in commerce and law had theirs on 22nd October 1962. Today, the University of Lagos story is a radically different one, and of course in a very positive way. This is because the university's administrators have over the years committed themselves to an unwavering vision of perpetual transformation. Indeed, each administration has left UNILAG better than it met it.
Welcome to Impact Stories. This is AAU TV, and we are celebrating Professor Osagie. Welcome, Prof.
Thank you.
Thank you for sitting with us. It's a privilege to have you here. Can you, Prof, tell us about yourself, just a little bit about yourself and your family growing up?
Well, I'm Osato Frank Giwa Osagie. I was born in Lagos, but my parents are from Benin City.
Okay.
And in fact, I am now also a chief of the Benin Kingdom.
Okay.
I schooled all over Nigeria because my father worked for the prisons department and he was being transferred throughout Nigeria. So I went to about 5 elementary schools in the 3 regions of Nigeria. With the result that I speak about 5 languages, 5 Nigerian languages. So I always joke with my students that I'm one of the last true Nigerians. I ended up at King's College, Lagos for my secondary school, where I did 7 years, school cert, higher school certificate, and passed the entrance exam into Cambridge University from Nigeria here. So I went to England for the first time when I went to start at Cambridge University reading medical sciences. I was in Cambridge for 3 years, and I went to King's College Hospital, London, to do my clinicals and qualified as a medical doctor. I then stayed on in England to specialize in obstetrics and gynecology. I was interested in endocrinology and in obstetrics, and did a master's in endocrinology at Leeds University.
Okay, Prof. So before we even go to all of the schools that you go in, do you remember any of your primary school classmates, since you've been through all around?
It is very interesting you should ask that question.
Yeah.
There's a classmate from 1956 who is a surgeon, Dr. Emmanuel Lawson. He's a general surgeon in Abuja. So I have been in contact with him constantly over 63 years. And in fact, I spoke to him again yesterday. So that's an example of somebody from elementary school whom I'm still in contact with. From secondary school, that is King's College, there are many I'm in contact with, particularly in Lagos here, because we have class meetings. And so we do meet from time to time, and to celebrate or to mourn if we lose a member, and we all come together for it, or somebody has achieved honors. So secondary school more. My university mates, because I came back to Nigeria and I didn't do university in Nigeria, I've lost contact
with them.
With most of my people.
But when you were in the primary and secondary schools, do you remember holding any position?
In elementary school, no. I was just one of the crowd. That was all.
You were just passing
Yes,
through.
I was small in stature, and I was younger than my class age group. So I really wasn't anything. But in secondary school, yes, I played games, and I represented King's College Lagos in athletics, in hockey, and in cricket.
Okay.
and I won full colors
Oh.
at King's College, Lagos.
Yeah.
I was also a prefect at King's College, Lagos, and the head of cabinet of the Students' Union.
Okay.
Cambridge University, I did athletics, and I won full colors
Oh.
at Cambridge University for athletics.
Oh. That's
I was
You were
part-time.
athletic?
Yes.
Yeah.
I did the hop, step, and jump.
Okay.
That's a triple jump, and I got full colors for that.
Okay.
And I was also a part-time journalist. I wrote articles for the Cambridge News
Okay.
and on athletics. I used to do that.
Okay.
And I also wrote some poetry. And when you're in Cambridge, it's as if you have a lot of time on your hands. So I delved into writing
Okay.
when I wasn't reading. Then when I moved to London, in London everywhere is scattered. I was living in a hostel in central London,
Okay.
and my medical school was in South London. So I couldn't really play any games. So
Yeah.
I just faced my studies,
And then
and
you went
luckily I qualified on schedule
Yeah.
and became a doctor.
Yeah. So before even we go on to you becoming a doctor, we know you went to Harvard.
Yes.
What was the reason behind you going to Harvard?
Well, I went to Harvard after I had become a doctor.
Okay.
I went to Harvard School of Public Health to do various courses. The most significant course, I think, was the management of health programs in developing countries at Harvard School of Public Health. I went to courses on managed healthcare and health insurance, on quality of healthcare, and just to mention some. So I went to Harvard several times.
Okay.
From around 1998 to 2006.
Okay.
And I should tell you what the stimulus for going to Harvard was. The stimulus was, at that time, and I'm not going into politics now,
Yeah.
at that time, the head of state of Nigeria was General Sani Abacha.
Yeah.
And General Sani Abacha wanted to be president for life. And I looked at it from my own personal perspective that I didn't see much future for me
In Nigeria.
with a president for life. Nothing personal against the general, who's a very pleasant person to person. But I didn't see much future for me in a country ruled by president for life. So I started looking for how could I strengthen my curriculum vitae.
Okay.
And I had started doing some work for the World Health Organization
Okay.
right from when I was in England. So I thought, look, I better go to Harvard. I'd already been to Cambridge University, then King's College Hospital, London University.
Yeah.
I thought, let me arm myself with the Harvard training.
Yeah.
So that's how I started, 1998. And I've never regretted it.
Yeah. So can we start talking about how you started your career, the things you've been doing in your career?
Well, my career as an obstetrician and gynecologist started at King's College Hospital, London. When I was what they call an intern,
Yeah.
I went to speak to my boss, a chap called John Newton, whom I understand has died since.
Okay.
John Newton was a consultant in the Obs and Gynae department. And I said to him, look, I'm trying to decide what to do. And I think I'm interested in obstetrics and gynecology.
Okay.
And he said to me, the first thing is that you should have a second degree. That's why I did a master's in endocrinology.
Yeah.
Then pass your exams as a specialist.
Of course.
But once you're a specialist and you have a second degree, then now you're ready to fight to climb the ladder. And that's what I did. I was a lecturer in the Department of Obstetrics and Gynecology of King's College Hospital, London.
Yeah.
And I decided I was going to come back to Nigeria. So, 1978, October,
You
I
were
came back to Nigeria.
So what was the reason you came back? Because it was
The
good
reason,
outside.
again, was that I was beginning to see, you see, when you're in Cambridge, you don't think there's any discrimination in the world.
Okay.
You are dealing with high, intelligent people.
Yeah.
And they couldn't care less whether you are green or yellow.
Okay.
If you are bright, you are bright.
Yeah.
Then I moved to London. London, in Cambridge, I don't think they were up to, at that time,
Yeah.
they were not up to 70 black people in the university.
Wow.
Then I moved into, it's hundreds of thousands of black people in London.
Yeah.
Most of whom were working in the factories.
Okay.
It's not their fault,
Not their
but that's
fault.
what
They were
doing.
Yeah.
And that's what the white people saw. And they started to project this onto everybody.
Yeah.
And I noticed, for instance, that in my own unit
Yeah.
at King's College Hospital, where I was a lecturer next to the senior lecturer who was the head, things will happen
Yeah.
and I will not be aware of it.
Oh, you were sidelined
I was being sidelined.
because of your skin color.
Yeah, there was no other reason. I was the second most senior person. I did my work well.
Okay.
And I said, how long am I going to continue with this?
Exactly.
That's the first thing.
Yeah.
The second thing was that in that same unit, because I was number 2, whenever the boss, Professor John Newton, couldn't go for a meeting
Okay.
at WHO Geneva, he would send me.
To go represent.
Yeah, I would go and represent the unit because I was the next person.
Yeah.
So I got introduced to all the work about contraceptives
Yeah.
and sterilization, and things like that.
Yeah.
And then there was a vacancy at WHO for a medical officer,
Okay.
and I was interested in it. I didn't apply, but I was discussing it with my wife. And my wife said to me that, look, if she's leaving England, we either go to
Going
her
back
own
to
country.
Nigeria.
My wife is from Jamaica.
Okay.
She said, we either go back to Jamaica
Okay.
with her, or she will come with me to Nigeria. That she's not going to any third
Any
country.
other country.
So the rules were set. And I had to
Come
better
back.
go home to Nigeria.
Yeah.
Those were the push factors in England
Yeah.
that made me come back to Nigeria. And I joined the Lagos University Teaching Hospital. That was 1978, October 6th.
Yeah.
That is 41 years ago.
Oh.
And then I became a lecturer in 1980, 39 years ago,
Okay.
in University of Lagos. I became a professor in December 1987, 32 years ago. I was 40 years old when I became a full professor in a clinical science.
Wow.
That is very young.
That is very young. That
These
is
days,
very-
people are become professor at 50,
Yes,
55.
when they are almost retiring.
Yes, I got
Yeah.
it at the age of 40.
Wow.
And and that was because of the training I had
Yeah.
at King's College Hospital, Cambridge, and Leeds University, where I did my master's. I was introduced to research.
Yeah.
Many so-called lecturers at that time in this country, some of them didn't know how to write a scientific paper. They hadn't been taught.
Yeah.
At Harvard, at Cambridge, at London, your boss and yourself, you write papers together.
Yeah.
So I saw, in everything I did, I always saw opportunity to publish. Can this be published?
Okay.
And then I went and talked to my boss,
Yeah.
who was Professor Akila, the late Professor Akila.
Okay.
He died about 2 years ago. He was the first Nigerian full professor of obstetrics and gynecology in the University of Lagos.
Yeah.
So I was publishing, whilst many of my contemporaries were just being introduced
Yeah.
to research and how to publish.
You were far ahead.
So I was ahead.
Yeah.
So I only spent 1 year as a senior lecturer,
And then you
and
turned into a
as a
professor.
lecturer, sorry. Then I was promoted as senior lecturer because I had enough papers to be a senior lecturer.
Yeah.
And that's what happened. So I had a very quick rise academically because I was prepared for the job I was getting into.
So when you were coming down.
I wasn't just trying to find my way after getting here. And so that was it. Then when I look back, apart from the academic ones, as I mentioned, and I did a lot of work for the World Health Organization. I was on their, what they call the steering committees for various things. I was a member of their, the group that looked at reproductive health in Africa and the Mediterranean. I was sent on several missions by WHO to Soweto district in Uganda to review the reproductive health program, to Mauritius and Seychelles to try and see why they have zero maternal mortality.
Prof,
Mauritius.
We'll go for a short break, and when we come back, we will continue. We know you have a lot of achievements, and that is why we are here. This is Impact Stories, and today we are celebrating an academic hero here in Nigeria in the name of Emeritus Professor Osagie Giwa. We'll go for a break, and when we come back, we'll continue with our program. Stay tuned.
As with any other university, the human resource of University of Lagos is comprised by two categories of staff, academic and non-teaching. Needless to say, a high level of synergy is required between both categories for the university to function effectively and deliver on its promise as a true citadel of learning.
This is Impact Stories, and we are back on the campus of University of Lagos, and today we are privileged to be interviewing Emeritus Professor Osagie. Prof, before we went on the break, you were talking about all the missions that you've been through when you were with the WHO. And when we mentioned Prof Osagie, and then we open the internet, the first thing we see is that Prof did an operation without an electricity. How true is this statement?
Well, this was in 1978, 1979,
Okay.
the Lagos University Teaching Hospital. There wasn't proper provision for backup electricity.
Okay.
And a lady was in labor, and then there was a power failure. There was no generator, and I had to do a cesarean section with one midwife holding a torchlight at my incision while I did the case. Now, I had just come back from England just about a month or two ago. You can imagine the shock of that.
Yes.
Doing a cesarean operation with torchlight. And but that's the way things were. And it eventually led to, not that incident, but similar incidents like that, led to the doctors at the Lagos Valley Teaching Hospital going on strike, demanding better facilities. And that happened once or two times. When we now went on strike during the military regime of General Mohammed Buhari,
Okay.
we were all sacked from our jobs.
Wow.
And we were all ejected from our flats.
Where to go to?
Well, everybody had to now go and look for a cousin or old schoolmate to stay with. Luckily, my father had a house in Surulere.
Okay.
He wasn't there. He had retired. He was in Benin. So myself and my two children and wife and house girl, we packed to my father's house. And we were there for about 8 weeks.
Oh.
Because then we were re-interviewed for our jobs. These are parts of Nigerian history that people forget about.
Yeah.
And that was the time when General Buhari was in uniform. So I knew him in uniform.
And you know him
we are now knowing him without uniform.
Yeah.
And we were all re-interviewed, including Professor Ransom Kuti, who later became Minister of Health. And of course, about 95% were reappointed, including myself. In fact, interestingly enough, this morning, I was looking through some old files and I saw my letter of reappointment.
That would be interesting.
Yes, and I'm being reappointed as a consultant and honorary, whatever it was, by Lagos Valley Teaching Hospital. So that's when that incident happened, 1978, 79, up to... So, but now, just to put it in perspective, the Lagos Valley Teaching Hospital has generators that carry the hospital. There are generators that carry the labor ward. And they have an independent power project, gas-fired.
Okay.
So they have 3 systems now: the public supply, generator supply, and gas-powered supply.
Yeah.
That's where we were using torchlight in 1979.
Yeah.
So we have moved a bit.
Yes, you've moved. Prof, and talking about this, we know you have achieved a lot. And this is where we want to show Africa what you have done. Prof, can you mention a few of your achievements since you started your career?
Well, the fundamental thing was applying science to the work we do. For instance, in looking after women, it wasn't called evidence-based practice then.
Yeah.
It will not be called evidence-based practice. You looked at what people had established elsewhere,
Yeah.
and what was the basis of their establishing what to do, and you apply it to what you do here.
Yeah.
I'll give you an example. In gynecology, if we go back to 78, once the doctor couldn't decide what it was by examining the patient, he opened the patient.
Ooh.
And but at that time,
Yeah.
endoscopy has started coming in. That is what they now call keyhole surgery.
Yeah.
Then we now had an instrument called a laparoscope
Yeah.
that allows us to look inside a woman's belly
Yeah.
without cutting her open. We will see what is in there,
Yeah.
and then we will know whether we should go in or whether we can deal with it through the laparoscope.
Yeah.
That was coming in. And I had been trained in laparoscopy at King's College Hospital.
Yeah.
So when I came here, I met people like Professor Kikugbe and Professor Akila, who were the older people then,
Yeah.
who were interested in it. So I was able to continue doing that kind of work.
Yeah. So indirectly, you were even teaching them how to
I was
even
teaching
go about
the younger, those coming behind.
Yeah.
Secondly, I had mentioned that I was involved with World Health Organization, and we are doing work on contraception at King's College Hospital. In the 80s, contraception was a very big thing for Africa generally. So, funded by the Pathfinder Fund of Boston, USA, and some help from WHO, we had a very, very active family planning clinic at Lagos University Teaching Hospital. At that time, most gynecologists felt family planning was a waste of time.
Yeah.
So myself and my colleague, Professor Mrs. Ogedengbe, Professor Akila, we saw beyond that.
Yeah.
We saw that whether you are rich or you are poor, you require family planning.
Definitely.
Just that the emphasis on the reason will be different.
Yeah.
So we established it. And we established it in such a way that it was subsidized. The price was lower than if you went and bought any of the things in the pharmacy. So it was subsidized family planning and female sterilization.
Yeah.
We established it at the Luth. Then we went into what they now call safe motherhood,
Okay.
and trying to approach the issue of women dying in pregnancy or after. And why do they die, and what can be done about it. A very important cause of women dying from pregnancy is abortion.
Yeah.
And people get pregnant because they don't take precautions.
Yeah.
So they don't use contraception
Yeah.
because they say they are afraid of side effects or it's against their religion.
Yeah.
They then get pregnant,
And
then they go and do abortion, which is far more dangerous.
Yeah.
So we brought in contraception as a way of reducing abortion and maternal death.
Yeah.
And then we also taught the doctors safe abortion.
Yeah.
You know, abortion performed in clean environment by somebody who has been trained to do it.
Do it.
We were teaching those things because if you look at the Nigerian laws as of then, it said you could only do abortion if the mother's life was at stake.
Yeah.
But abortions were being done all over the country. And then we were pretending that they were not happening. So we taught safe abortion. We didn't call it safe abortion.
Yeah.
Otherwise, even the hospital wouldn't allow us to teach it.
So, Prof, talking of your achievement, we want to talk about some of the awards and merits you've received in Nigeria and also outside Nigeria, and the biggest one too.
Well, I received several awards. I was given a distinguished service award by the Society of Gynecology and Obstetrics of Nigeria for services to women's health through research in infertility. Because, in fact, one of the things I'm best known for in Nigeria is my work on human in vitro fertilization.
Exactly. We wanted to know more on that.
And in vitro fertilization was started successfully by Steptoe and Edwards in Britain. Edwards was my teacher in physiology at Cambridge University. He was a lecturer in physiology when I was a student.
Oh, okay.
And he was already doing research on in vitro fertilization, but in rabbits. By the time I finished medical school and specialized in obstetrics and gynecology, 1987 and 1977, they produced their first successful pregnancy. Okay. Baby Louise Brown.
Okay.
And by the duo of Professor Edwards and Dr. Patrick Steptoe, they succeeded. So when I came back to Nigeria, I was already aware that they had succeeded in having pregnancy and so on. And I found that at least half of the patients who come to the gynecology clinic at the University Teaching Hospital in Lagos, and this has been found also in other teaching hospitals all over West Africa, they come with infertility. Infertility, and so that is a very major problem in women in Africa. And the number one cause of the infertility is blocked tubes. The gynecologists offer them surgery, but when they operate on the surgery, if they succeed, the tube will block again. As the body is healing, the tube will block. So it was very fortunate that at that time, Steptoe and Edwards in England
had
succeeded in finding a success in vitro fertilization. They were then followed by several other countries. So I then said we better face this issue of treating blocked tubes by in vitro fertilization. So myself and my colleague, Professor Ashiru, who was a basic scientist, professor of anatomy, and he was doing the embryology. He had trained in America, University of Nebraska, and then Chicago, and was originally a graduate of University of Lagos. Then I was the clinician, so I was the Patrick Steptoe, and he was the Professor Edwards in Nigeria. We started this work in 1983, and then we had our first baby born live in 1989.
Wow.
That's 30 years ago. And initially there was controversy. People were trying to say it's not possible, and so then other babies came along. Then they said, oh, it must be true.
So and the first IVF baby was done with you and your
myself
friend.
And Professor Ashiru.
Wow.
1989, 30 years ago.
Wow.
And we did that work at Lagos University Teaching Hospital.
Just here?
Yes. And we were the first in the whole of West Africa, East and Central Africa. It was only South Africa and Egypt that succeeded before us in the whole of continent of Africa. So now we are famous for it. And I got national honors, partly because of it. Ashiru got national honors. Dr. Ibrahim Wada in Abuja got national honors, partly because of in vitro fertilization. And now there are over 70 IVF centers in Nigeria. Wow. Over 70. Where there was just one at Lagos Valley Teaching Hospital. And of course, there are in so many countries that they have IVF centers. So that was the pioneering work I did in the University of Lagos here. which I'm still continuing to do.
Yes.
Because I'm the coordinator of the IVF Center at the Lagos University Teaching Hospital up till now. And it hadn't functioned for years. Then the teaching hospital authorities now decided to heed my appeals that we started IVF.
Yeah.
We must continue doing it. One day I got a letter saying I should bring a list of what I need to do IVF. It was surprising, so I quickly gave them a list.
Okay.
And they bought the things.
Right.
And we are doing IVF in Lagos University Hospital today.
That is very
So
good.
that was a pioneering thing.
An impressive feat.
Yes.
Yeah.
Then my work in family planning, my work in safe motherhood. I was a consultant to the World Health Organization Safe Motherhood Program.
Yeah.
And in fact, I wanted the chairman for the reproductive health group of WHO for Africa and Eastern Mediterranean. I was the chairman. And which was after family planning, and safe abortion, etc., etc. So those are the things that I have done and I continue to do.
Yeah.
And in my career here.
Yeah, the whole of Nigeria and Africa appreciate your work. And we are leaving your work side and we want to talk about your life personally. Who is behind you? Who is behind you, you and your family?
Well, you know, the closest person to me, of course, is my wife.
Yes.
My wife is a Jamaican, and she's a dental surgeon.
Okay.
We met in University of London when I was in King's College Hospital.
Okay.
She was at the Royal Dental School, and I was a year ahead of her. We happened to be at the same hall of residence.
Okay.
That's how I met her. That was in 1970.
Right.
Then we got married in 1976 in England, and we came back to Nigeria in 1978.
Okay.
So my wife has been in Nigeria 41 years.
Wow.
Yes. We have 4 children, 1 girl and 3 boys. One is a doctor, but is not practicing medicine.
Why?
He said he doesn't want to practice medicine.
Okay.
And one is a lawyer, and then one did business finance at Durham University,
Okay.
and has opened fitness centers in Lagos and Ikeja. So he's an entrepreneur.
Yeah.
And then the girl has a master's in banking and finance, and she runs a logistics company, and also manufactures toys for children.
Yeah. Do you have any grandchildren?
We have 3 grandchildren,
Oh, that's
1
great.
daughter and 2 very active boys.
Where do you worship, Prof?
I was born an Anglican, and I go to Cathedral Church of Christ in Marina, Lagos. From time to time, I go to Ikoyi Baptist Church, because my wife goes to Ikoyi Baptist Church.
Okay.
So we belong to the 2 churches, but
2 churches.
well, my church is actually the cathedral, Anglican Cathedral in Marina.
Any political inclinations here
No,
in Nigeria?
with my university background, I've been almost like a free thinker. You heard me talking about General Buhari of 30-something years ago.
Yeah.
So it's only in a university environment you can talk like that.
Yeah.
You go and say it in the circle of politicians and administrators, they mark you down.
Yeah.
That this man is dangerous. I was just saying what happened.
Yeah.
So as of now, I'm not in any political party.
Okay.
But they are welcome to invite me.
If they want
So I
your
can help them.
services. Yes. Can we talk about your favorite meal? What is your favorite meal?
My
or
favorite
your favorite
meal
sport?
is pounded yam with granule soup,
Okay.
with chicken and what we call bush meat inside.
Yeah, that's fine.
That's my favorite meal.
And your favorite sport?
My favorite sport, I was a sportsman. Basically, I follow all sports. At the moment, I'm a supporter of Arsenal football ground.
And that is very unfortunate because they are not winning.
They are not doing well, but don't worry. The other day, Liverpool gave Barcelona 4-0.
Yes.
Arsenal will rise. So And I watch, of course, when Nigeria is playing, I'm watching. When Ghana is playing, I'm watching. The other teams I'm not very interested in.
What kind of music does Prof listen to?
Well, I was very interested in, of course, my wife being West Indian, Calypso.
Okay.
And I like Calypso, I like High Life, you know. And I don't understand rap at all.
At all.
Because I can't hear what they are saying. so when the children are doing like this and that,
You don't understand.
I don't understand it.
Okay.
So I would say High Life and Calypso are the two I like most.
Okay.
Then when you go international, and then I have to say, oh, Afro jazz or jazz, you know. Yes.
So, Prof, who are you mentoring now and before we go?
Well, there's a whole series of people who I have helped to develop.
Okay.
Several of them are professors or consultants now, both in my unit, where all three of the consultants who are with me there were trained by us.
Yeah.
And I stimulated them to go into in vitro fertilization. So there are three of them working with me in the vitro fertilization unit. There are others who have passed through and then developed other interests, and both with us in Lagos or in other hospitals like the Lagos State Teaching Hospital. The president of Society of Gynaecologists at the moment was my senior registrar when he was with us at Luth.
Yeah.
So there are many like that who have gone through. And the inaugural lecture you had today was a great pleasure to us.
Yeah.
So here was a girl, a lady who came through our department, and we watched her develop from a very young level as a senior house officer. And today she's professor.
Yeah.
She's the fourth female full professor in O&G ever in the University of Lagos.
Oh, that's good.
And I am the only Emeritus Professor of Obs and Gynae in the history of University of Lagos.
Oh, that is a great achievement. And finally, Prof, as we are going, can we say Professor Osagie is a fulfilled man?
I'm fulfilled
Yes.
academically because there are no more mountains for me to climb.
Yeah.
But I feel slightly frustrated that my level of competence and knowledge is not being used for a bigger crowd in Nigeria because of the Nigerian obsession with ethnic origin and belonging to a political party. Those have been big problems for me in Nigeria.
Thank you, Prof.
But I'm happy I came back.
Yes, thank you, Prof,
Thank you.
for this session. And we really enjoyed our talks and our conversations with you. And we know you will do more even before you retire.
Thank you.
Yeah.
You are welcome.
This has been Impact Stories with Emeritus Professor Osagie. My name is Irene Dufie Addai and I have been your host. Stay tuned.